Welcome back to Limited Supply, the podcast where we get deep into the tactical and strategic side of e-commerce, digital marketing, and building consumer brands. I'm your host, Nick Sharma. I've spent the last 9 years building, scaling, and investing in brands. And through this show and my weekly newsletter at nick.co/email, I'm here to share everything I've learned, the wins, the losses, the experiments, the tactics, and the insights, all so you can unlock your next $100,000 in revenue. Today's episode is a good one, but before we dive in, let me tell you about our chosen sponsor for this week's episode. Think about your best friend and how they shop. Totally different than how you shop online, right? You should never be getting the same cart reminder email. That's where Instant AI comes in. In the last few weeks, Instant rolled out AI flows for over 500 brands. The momentum is crazy, and one of my favorite brands tripled their email revenue in just 60 days. That's one of hundreds of wins they've had so far. Here's why it works. Instant can immediately understand who's on your site and what they've been looking at. The discount, the copy, the imagery, the on-site promotion, all of it is pulled dynamically into personal email flows. Then it sends it at the exact moment that shopper is ready to buy. BFCM is behind you, and now's the time to build for your biggest year yet. Old and lame retention emails are so 2025. Book a demo by December 31st and get 50% off your first 60 days at instant.one/Sharma and set up your brand to dominate 2026. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Limited Supply. Today, we've got my buddy Zain on. He is, if you don't follow him on Twitter, you maybe do, or you've maybe seen his tweets. He's always got the funniest memes and shit posts within the e-commerce and direct consumer industry. But Zain is he's just really knowledgeable when it comes to all things social shopping. So today, we focus a lot on TikTok Shop. It's kind of been his bread and butter for the last couple of years. He started by, he'll get into it, but he started by basically launching a few brands of his own. They were doing so well, and then he started doing it as a service. And everything from creative affiliates, how you get your first affiliates on board, what kind of image carousel you put in the actual gallery on TikTok Shop. How do you think about percentages, commissions? How does Goalie do it? All this stuff we dove into. So enjoy the episode. It's a nice, quick episode. Hits you with all the good stuff. We didn't spend too much time kind of verbalizing shit posting until the very end. But check out the episode. Let me know what you think. And whatever you think we should dive deeper on from this episode, let me know. DM me on Twitter or shoot me an email. I'm just nick@nick.co now. And let me know what you like the best, because we're going to go way deeper. I'm going to try to create some more like masterclass style episodes where we just go grab experts and go super deep and teach a bunch of things. So anyways, enjoy the episode, and looking forward to hear what your thoughts are. Well, Zain, it's amazing to have you here. We've met in person a few times. I've obviously giggled at your Twitter for months now. And it's exciting to meet you in person. Or not in person, but virtually, and do this. So thank you for coming on and for doing this.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
So I think, everybody, there's a lot of things going on right now. There's Black Friday. We've got the holidays. We've got that little Q5 period in between Christmas and New Year's, and then New Year starts, and we've got the Wellness Super Bowl. Then we go into, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, all big, very Hallmark kind of holidays coming up, mixed with these non-so-Hallmark holidays, and everybody's just thinking about what they're doing from a sales standpoint. One of the biggest channels that a lot of brands are now trying to focus on is TikTok Shop, which is your specialty. So I'm excited to get into that today. But I guess before we get into what's coming up next, how would you explain kind of the state of social shopping right now in the world of consumer brands?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of it's the new hot thing that you're seeing, not just like, short videos, UGC, that's kind of been around. TikTok Shop just enables that to be like much easier. But live streaming has been kind of the thing that people are watching. We're seeing a lot of like streamers become kind of like the cultural norm. Like people are watching people like Speed, and like they're getting like tons of views and tons of live streams, and like the whole younger audience is kind of obsessed with it. So we're kind of watching that transition into like more of a shopping thing. Already in China and other parts of Asia, like live streaming is huge. It's making up like 10, 20, 30% of e-commerce sales. So it's still like in its infancy, but it's like the cool kid on the block. And it's just, I think, something for all brands to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like the live streaming, there's a huge wave of like live streaming, which then kind of kicked off clipping, I feel. And clipping, at least my definition is just a bunch of kids who are taking longer form pieces of content, chopping them up into what they think will generate views or engagement, and then posting it up and trying to gather as many views as possible because they get paid on a CPM basis. And the people paying them at first, they were like, it was live streamers like a Speed would get clipped up and then they'd put up a casino logo on it and a casino would pay them, some CPM. But now it's a lot of consumer brands also who are starting to play around with the clipping strategy and pumping out crazy amounts of content. But actually, before we get into all this, I realized let's give yourself an intro. Can you just give, as if you're bragging, or as if your mom was bragging, how would your mom introduce you?
Yeah, for sure. Dude, my mom probably would have no idea what I do for a living, even if I told her like 10 times. But yeah, we started off on the brand side. Like my partner and I have been doing e-commerce since 2018. We had a couple e-commerce brands that we scaled to like each one was like 7, close to 8 figures in revenue. We launched one of them on TikTok Shop in October of 23. That did really well. We were posting a lot about it, Twitter, LinkedIn. People just kind of assumed that it was just like a lead gen funnel, and they were pinging us like, "Hey, run our TikTok shop," and we were like,
Mm-hmm.
"We don't really do that, right? We just have our own brands." Started referring them out to agencies at that time in 23 because it was so new that like a lot of these agencies didn't really understand TikTok shop. They were just trying to cash in on the gold rush. So we saw the opportunity there. We were referring people to agencies, but they weren't having a good experience. So we launched the agency last year, and now that's become our main thing. Like the brands are bootstrapped. We don't really answer to anyone, but with the agency, we have clients. So that's been kind of our main focus. That's been doing pretty well. It's like still pretty boutique. We have around like 20 clients across health and wellness, food and beverage. Supplements is probably like 80% of our clients, and then a lot of food and bev brands as well.
Amazing. I feel like I've never seen a supplement brand not crushing. Have you? It's very
Yeah.
rare.
As long as it's not like luxury price point, like TikTok shop is really good for like the cheap stuff. If it's like $20, $30, that's perfect. If you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to do like a luxury supplement or like you're only selling bundles, it's like 70, $80. That's not really the right fit for TikTok shop. That's the only time we've really struggled. But yeah, supplements does really well. Even food and beverage, as long as it's a good price point, like that's so easy. Like you send something out, someone eats it on camera. It's very TikTok native. They're like, "Ooh, this is delicious." The sales kind of roll in.
You mentioned TikTok native. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what do you think constitutes to be TikTok native?
Yeah, so if you think about like the millennial Gen Z, I think there was like a tweet that kind of went viral lately where like everyone's like kind of using the same font, like the serif font or whatever, however
Yeah,
you pronounce it.
the
That kind
blanding.
of yeah, exactly. That kind of blanding type stuff does really well because the younger audience, right? A lot of millennials, it's a lot of Gen Z. If it looks native and it's just like more some blanding, but also very colorful as well, like things that really stand out because you're trying to make a product that like someone pulls out on a video and it stops the scroll, which is pretty difficult. So it can't be something that's just like for like an older audience. It can't be like 40, 50, 60. It just has to be geared towards a younger audience that's typically who is more active in buying on TikTok shop.
Totally. And when you talk about like supplements doing well on TikTok, what kind of supplements are doing well? Is it like the colostrums? Is it vitamin gummies? Is it like, daily vitamins? Is it vitamin C? What kind of stuff is it?
Yeah, so it kind of always like cycling. Like the one that like people kind of know the most for TikTok shop just because Goalie kind of exploded with it out of the gate was ashwagandha. Now that's like
Mm-hmm.
a little bit tougher. It's like it's usually like something pops off and then every supplement brand kind of jumps on because it's just so much quicker to get to manufacturing than it was like in the past. Like within 6 months, it's being copied. So ashwagandha has done pretty well. The daily vitamins do well, but it's not really like a problem solving type thing. So it's not going to get as much any supplement that can help with like weight loss or if it's like something that's going to help with like more appearance, those are going to
Mm-hmm.
do well even if you kind of have to be careful what you say. So even things like magnesium, things like you said like colostrum, those are starting to get big. Creatine's pretty big. Protein, as long as it's within kind of that TikTok native like just product form or form factor of like if it's like a gummy, if it's like a stick pack, that tends to do well. If it's just like pills or a powder, that's just not as cool and it's just not going to perform as well.
Yeah. I remember when Lemmy started doing TikTok shop and it was blowing my mind how fast they were getting sales. I mean, some of their SKUs here have, 26,000 units sold on a bundle of two SKUs together. Um, how do some of these brands, like, how do they get started? Like, what is the secret to getting started and doing it right? Because from what I remember, or from what I know, it's like it's really about building that social proof. It's about getting affiliates on board. You have to do some work to even make it attractive to those early people as well. Like, is there sort of a playbook or a formula or something that's kind of standard that you go through?
Yeah, for sure. So like TikTok has like a graph that basically shows GMV or like revenue versus number of videos posted. And it's basically a straight line. Like the larger volume of content you have coming in, the more chances of something going viral. Like when TikTok Shop started, it was like you could throw a shop link on and like 1 out of 50 videos would go viral just because they were trying to juice it and they're trying to get brands on board. Now it's like maybe like 1 in 100, 1 in 150, maybe even 1 in 200. So you just need like a ton of content coming in every month. Every brand that you see, whether it's Lemmy or like any brand that's doing over 1 million GMV per month, they have at least 1,000 videos being posted per month, plus also like live streaming. So they're just sampling out like crazy. Like Lemmy, I can guarantee you, sends out several hundred samples per month. Um, they're just really maximizing the amount of content that's coming in. They might have live streaming as well. Sometimes it takes, that makes up like 10, 15%. But primarily it's short video. Primarily it's sending out a ton of samples. Some brands also give like flat fees. Like they'll send you a sample and they'll give you like 10, 20, $50 per video just to post like a video every day. Maximize that content. Then you put ad spend behind what's working. And that's what is what really drives you to those kind of numbers.
Wow. So on paid social, I feel like a good hit rate is like around 5 to 10%. Here, it sounds like basically 0.5% to 1% is pretty standard hit rate. And I totally agree. I mean, every time I've talked to a brand, like a founder that crushes on TikTok Shop, they always say it's a volume game. And the more content you put out, the luckier you get. So one thing I heard from another brand was like they almost built their own ambassador network of a few hundred people. Have you seen brands doing that a lot, or is that more like less common?
Yeah, so like the brands that are like coming from a different platform where they already had that, like let's say they built that out on Instagram. Let's say it's something like Comfort where they already have like tons of ambassadors. They kind of shift that over to TikTok Shop. If this is like their first rodeo, like this is their first time doing like social selling or anything like that, likely they don't have that network already. Where then they're just starting from scratch. Like they're mainly sending out samples. They're seeing who's posting videos, who's doing well, and then they're kind of re-engaging those people. They're putting them into a Discord group or something like that, and just like getting them to post more. So if you're already like a brand that's like very used to that, you already have the ambassador network, like they tend to just shift over and like they can crush it pretty quickly. But like 95% of brands have, they're just doing Meta or they're just doing Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like most brands too that want to get on TikTok Shop, they almost just like put it on. They upload the products and then maybe they invite a few affiliates, but then it kind of just sits and they don't really like aggressively push it. But I think from what I'm gathering, it sounds like you have to pretty aggressively get onboarded on the platform before you can kind of let it coast a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. It's very much like a momentum based platform, and there's definitely like an initial investment. Like once you are kind of scaled up, then it's like it's harder for sales to drop off. But in the beginning, it's like it's such a flywheel that you have to start turning. Even if you started tomorrow, like let's say you sent out 50 samples tomorrow, it's going to take 3 or 4 days for the creator to get it. TikTok gives them 2 weeks to post. They post. It takes a week or two for the video to get traction. The video starts getting views. TikTok has no idea who to target, right? Like they're just showing it to people who are watching it. Once you get like 100 sales, 1,000 sales, now it's not just showing to anybody. It's like, okay, people who bought, your product also bought this product last week. So let me start showing it to those people who bought, a similar product. It starts to target better. But it's just like it's not getting any of that data until you're at 100 orders, 1,000 orders. You sent out 1,000 samples. By that point, it's not like Meta where they have like 13 years, 15 years longitudinal data, right? Like they
Right,
know if you
right.
bought socks last month, you're going to buy this product, just based on like the AI and data that they have. TikTok Shop's like really been around for like just like a few years. Their data is a little bit more siloed. They take a little bit longer to learn. They're looking at it like your sales as they're coming in, and then they're kind of making adjustments. So it just takes longer. But then once it's scaled up, it's not even about like the sales that you're getting on TikTok Shop, just like the amount of brand awareness, the amount of just like cultural significance of being viral on TikTok that can create a huge spillover to Amazon. Give you creatives that you can get usage rights, run on Meta, do a ton of spend there. Like there's a ton of just like knock on benefits.
Yeah, I even remember the early days of TikTok and like products, putting the badge, as seen on TikTok Shop, or gone viral on TikTok, like that badge would help increase conversion rate on a website, even if there was no evidence that it did go viral or was big on TikTok.
Yeah, it's like the number one like social proof that you can have these days, right? Like,
Yeah,
besides like a celebrity endorsement, which I wouldn't consider like social proof even, but it's just like you could have like a bunch of 5-star reviews, and nowadays people just kind of think that that's like fake. You could have like a ton of orders, which like TikTok Shop, it like the order count is like actually accurate. It's not like on a
right.
website where you can just say like, oh, 100,000 people bought it or whatever it is. But once it goes viral on TikTok, then like everyone's thinking like, oh, I gotta have it. Like this is something
Totally.
that's like super on trend. So it helps. We've even seen like retailers like Target, they'll take shelf space and they'll just dedicate it to brands that are viral on TikTok. So it'll give them shelf space that normally you'd have to pay like a pretty good amount for. Just knowing that like if it's going viral on TikTok and somebody walks in and they recognize the product immediately, sell through is going to be better. Just velocity is going to be better, and that's what they're looking for, right? Like they're looking for products and brands that are just going to sell through quickly.
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember that influencer Emily Mariko? She used to make the salmon bowl.
I don't think so, but that
She
sounds
went
familiar.
viral for like making this day after you cook salmon, like salmon and rice bowl. And Trader Joe's across the country made a whole section near the front of the store with all the ingredients to
So
make the
smart.
salmon bowl. And I was like, wow, that's amazing, because they don't have to pay her anything. They just basically saw what was kind of trending, or like this group of merchandising that worked well. And then they just put that in every store. And like the sell through was amazing. It was right in the front. But I think that's going to be happening a lot more. And I'm also curious too, like I'm curious to see how retailers are going to be adapting themselves for what's viral on the internet. Like we kind of see it a little bit here and there. But a lot of that right now is very pay to play, but I think it's going to flip the other way, where the retailers are going to be like, wait a second, forget paying these guys to put their stuff or getting money from the product. Let's create our own sections, merchandise it in a way where we know sell-through is going to be way higher, and make our own money that way.
Yeah, for sure. I think retail is kind of like the boomers of e-commerce, where they're always like a little bit slower. Like you could have like a call with the buyer and be like, "Hey, I'm spending $1 million a month on Meta," and they'd be like, "Okay, that means nothing to me."
Yeah,
But nowadays, it's starting to change, where they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like you're generating all this brand awareness that we don't have to do now, right?"
right,
If we
right.
tell them they're viral on TikTok, we told them a year or two ago, they'd be like, "Yeah, that's cool. Like, I don't care." Now it's like, "Oh, okay, that's something that like we're actually considering." And even like we've seen brands like if you go viral on TikTok, like everybody's on TikTok, whether they're willing to admit it or not, it's to some degree. The buyers are
Yeah,
also on TikTok. And if they're
right.
scrolling through TikTok and it seems like you're everywhere, then now they want you. You're suddenly like punching above your weight. You actually seem way bigger than you are. You could be like just a 5 million a year business, a 10 million a year business. To them, you look like you're a 9-figure a year
Totally.
business that they're like, why aren't they in Walmart yet? Why aren't they in Target?
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious your take on TikTok creative, whether it's TikTok Shop, TikTok creators, TikTok ads. Do you do much TikTok ad stuff as well?
Yeah, we pretty much use GMV Max, which is like a feature within TikTok ads where it just takes all of your top performing TikTok shop videos across your videos and creator videos, and it just spends behind what it thinks will do best. So it just kind of automates it and then sends it to the videos on shop. But yeah, what we found is like with TikTok creative, it used to be, I mean, it's still pretty different from like what works on other platforms, but also at the same time, like the way that other platforms have started to just copy TikTok, where like Instagram Reels, Instagram
Yeah,
Stories, they're all pretty much the same format. So we've seen brands like if they have a video that does really well on TikTok Shop, there's like a good like 20-25% chance that it'll do well on Meta ads as well. So we have a client where like their top performing creatives on Meta are from TikTok Shop, because it's like, okay, if it's working on TikTok, pretty good chance of like the exact same format, exact same thing, it's going to work on Instagram Reels.
yeah. Brands like Third Love, Liquid IV, and Neurogum all swear by Instant. They've tripled their email revenue, and some like Karen Kane even see a 5x increase. Why? Because AI can build hundreds of versions you'll never have time to make. While you're running your brand, Instant is running the experiments, figuring out what works, and then continuously optimizing to keep conversions growing. BFCM's over, and your next growth run starts now. Grab a demo by December 31st and get 50% off your first 60 days at instant.one/Sharma. Yeah, I feel like that's so true. I remember even with a tequila brand a couple years ago, like the best TikTok ad had the highest click through rate on Facebook and Instagram, and we were just like, I mean, it makes sense, like especially for a beverage product. It's it demonstrates it. You can see the reaction. You can see how it looks. Um, but yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot more just carryover of that kind of more native feeling creative of like, what's native in the palm of your hand versus on Meta, it tends to be a lot of more studio shot stuff or pretty stuff, things that are highly edited. What about when it comes to creators and maybe even live? Like, how do you think about creative direction there when it comes to creators? Are you one on the side of like, let's let them figure out the product and talk about it, or let's give them some guidance, or let's give them a script? One thing we used to do is we would give like a bullet point as a brief. So like, hey, for your intro, make sure you touch on these three. For your main talking points, make sure you hit these points. And for your closeout thoughts, hit these, and then we would usually take that and mix and match a bunch of the different bullet points.
Yeah, 100%. I think with TikTok, it's a little bit different because it's like for TikTok Shop, a lot of times you're just sending them the sample. You're not paying them up front. Like if you go on some UGC marketplace and you're paying someone $100 for video, you can be pretty strict on like what you want in the brief. And if they don't meet what's in the brief, it's like, hey, you're not getting paid. And you get
Mm-hmm.
revisions and things like that. With TikTok Shop, if you send them a sample, there's no revisions. They're really just getting the free product. Like maybe it's a $20 product and they know it's probably costing you $5 or $6. It's probably not going to be something that they spend like 3 hours making. But at the same time, it's like you still want to give them some direction. Typically, what we do instead of like writing like a 2 page brief, a 3 page brief, you're definitely in the right ballpark in like what we do in terms of like a bullet point. But what we find like even more powerful, it's like sending just example videos because if you're a
Mm-hmm.
TikTok creator and this is pretty much everyone these days, like they're not really reading, nobody wants to read a big paragraph of text or something, but everyone on the platform who's a TikTok creator watches TikTok videos. So if you
Yeah.
send them like 3 videos I've done really well for you, perfect, they can watch all 3, they get some inspiration, they put their own twist on it. Kind of going back to what you're saying, like in Meta it's like a 5-10% hit rate, that when TikTok Shop is much lower, it's like you're just paying them like the cost of the product, it's like 10-20 bucks. So like on a dollar basis you're probably getting the same hit rate, but you're going to get a lot of people who just get the product. Maybe they just want the free product. Maybe they do like an unboxing that's like kind of lazy, or they do like a video that you're not super happy with. But at the same time, it's just like a volume play. Like, you get 5 videos for the cost of what it would cost for one off of a marketplace. If 1 out of 5 just does a really good job, you're probably going to be happy.
Yeah, totally. And then how do you think about creative and the actual TikTok shop listing?
So within the listing, it's kind of the same thing where it's like we're not really worried about like the words that are in like the product description. Most people aren't going to read that. What we really want to do is just have really good images, like at least 6 or 7 really solid images, all serving like a different purpose. There should be one that's just like very well branded. It can have some call outs, like you mentioned. Like TikTok is just way more lenient than Amazon on them. So you can say like #1 best selling. You can like whatever badge you want to put on there. It's much easier than Amazon. A couple pictures of it being used, or it's just more of a lifestyle shot. And then if you have a video in the listing, that's great as well. Of like, kind of your top video or like a customer demonstrating it, how it looks in the real world, how it looks in real life. That's kind of how we think about it. So we just really want to maximize the images and video. Description's a little bit less important. People aren't reading that as much.
Yeah, I find, have you ever seen like Neurogum's TikTok shop imagery? I feel like
Yeah.
those are some of the best. Neurogum, or even there's another one, Medicube. They have very like infographic driven imagery.
Yeah, Neurogum's a great example, kind of going back to what you're saying in terms of like the ambassador program. That's really how they've been thinking about it. It's like they don't think of it as like, oh, these are creators. We send them a product and they make a post and then like we forget about them. It's like, no, we want these people to be like ambassadors of a brand. We want them to love the brand. They probably have like one of the stronger Discord communities. And they really, because it's kind of it's more of a commoditized product. It's like gum with like caffeine in it. There's a lot of caffeine infused products. There's a lot of different energy drinks. Like it's a pretty tough market.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a super, unique like ingredient list, but they've just really figured out that marketing and really figured out how to get creators to like really care about the brand.
Yeah, I think they're also just a good example of like, on Meta, you really need to pump AOV to make it work. And on TikTok Shop, if you've got good product channel fit, you can kind of rip regardless of AOV.
Yeah, you're typically not going to get a super high AOV. It's like young people, they're looking for a deal. They're looking for like a $20, $30 product. But you can get great LTV. It's like kind of TikTok Shop is like your way of introducing people to the brand. Once they've tried NeuroGum once, they really like the product, they're going to come back, whether it's on Amazon, on your website, wherever that they can find it. That's when they're going to come back. So you really want to focus on like kind of the intro, almost sample pack, really small size that they can try for $20. And then if the product's good, then you're confident that you're going to get that repeat rate.
Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is the affiliate program. So I talked a little bit about this with Aaron Paul when he came on before, but he was mostly talking about affiliates as like media buyers being affiliates. This is obviously much different. This is like TikTok Shop affiliates or creators who are affiliates. And I'm curious, like, what is the strategy to get affiliates on board? Like, there's obviously the TikTok tools to go and invite affiliates or to send products or invite people to a gifting experience. But how do you actually incentivize your first like 100 affiliates to come on and actually get excited about a product that's just come to market, has no credibility, no social proof?
Yeah, that's always like one of the toughest part of TikTok Shop is like that 0 to 1. It's always helpful if you have like something like if you have like, pretty strong Instagram or you're in a bunch of retailers or you're really doing well on Amazon. That's something that you can kind of show as like some kind of credibility or social proof. You see a lot of brands like NeuroGum, like they're mentioning that they're on Shark Tank, things that like the average
Yeah,
person can really resonate with. Typically, what we see in brands in the beginning, they'll just offer like a very competitive rate. So like typically you're going to get 15, 20% commission. They'll offer like 30%. They might offer like some flat fees. You'll see brands like Goalie. We helped them publicize this campaign where they did a bunch of prizes that went like almost viral where they're like,
yeah,
it was basically like an extra 20% commission rate. They're like, hey, if you do, 1,000 in sales and you get like basically a product that was worth $200. So like it was almost like an extra 20% commission rate. But the way they kind of gamified it, where you're like, okay, you have to hit this and you get a prize. And like the top prize is like a Lamborghini or like a Miami condo or something. And then that's what gets clicks. That's what gets attention. So you really have to stand out because like every week there's like 100 brands onboarding. It's like, what
right.
can you do that'll stand up when you stand out? Like a lot of people have copied that contest now, but it's just like you got to think of something different.
Yeah, I feel like the contest is a great idea. The Goalie I've always known does like those prizes. Like instead of giving 20% off to customers, they'll tell the affiliates like whoever drives the most will give you a car or something. And I've always thought that's genius because when you back it out at the volume they're probably doing, the car is probably cheaper than whatever commission they would normally pay.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like and I don't think this is like a secret, but they lose money on TikTok Shop. Like they spend, like I think when they did that contest, they were the biggest spender on TikTok ads that month, which was like
Wow.
June or July of like I think it was like 24 or something. But they lost a lot of money on TikTok Shop, but they're playing kind of like the long game where they're in every single retailer. So like they started, if you look at the Nielsen reports, you pull the Nielsen reports for them across like a bunch of retailers, like Target, they were like exploding. That's actually what led to Target then doing that program where they're like, okay, if a brand's viral on TikTok, we're going to give them some great shelf space.
Yeah.
They knew that like, hey, we have like a 30% repurchase rate. Average person buys like 6 bottles, whatever. We can lose a lot of money on the front end. Like we can lose a lot of money on TikTok Shop, knowing that like Amazon, like their Amazon ranking for the ashwagandha gummy doubled, like sales doubled
Yeah.
for it. They climbed so much sales rank, and it's like, okay, great. Now there's like a 20% spill over to Amazon. Maybe there's like a 10, 15, 20% uplift in retail. And then over 6 months, so like, okay, we're pretty confident we're going to make that money back. So it's kind of like, when people talk about Meta, they're like, whoever can afford to pay the highest CPA is going to win. It's kind of the same thing on TikTok Shop, where it's like a lot of these supplement brands like Physician's Choice, Nature Made, Goalie, like they're just trying to break even on the channel because they're
Yeah.
everywhere else and they're just driving a ton of brand awareness. Even if you're doing 100K a month on TikTok Shop, you're doing like millions of views, maybe even like 10 million views. So it's just a ton of top of funnel brand awareness that's being generated.
Yeah, I feel like TikTok Shop is kind of like it's got the same view through channel effect that like a celebrity or a big TV campaign has, where you can pick up like it sprinkles awareness in the same ways as if like Mr. Beast was posting about your product.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you think about TikTok Shop, like it's grown pretty quickly. Like I think just last month they hit the size of eBay, and they did that in just like a couple
That's
years or
crazy.
whatever that TikTok Shop's been around. But like TikTok is like a billion a day platform, even like outside Q4. Or sorry, a billion a month platform, but Amazon's a billion a day, right? So like Amazon's like
Hmm.
30 times as big. So if you do 100K a month, 200K a month, whatever on TikTok Shop. You're breaking even after everything, but then you gain like 4 or 5 rankings on a very competitive search term on Amazon, and you go from like the second page, like the first page, like suddenly like your sales on Amazon have just like exploded. And it's very hard to do that on Amazon, right? Like there's tons more feeds on Amazon. Amazon PPC is like super competitive, but once you start driving like off channel traffic, they love that, right? Like that's as
Yeah,
soon as
it's
if
almost like
someone
a
sees them,
hack.
it's a huge hack. Like they see goalies, ashwagandha gummy, they're like, okay, great. I've never bought from TikTok before. They're calming, whatever, anxiety, like reducing, whatever it is. Like I have a big presentation tomorrow. Like I need them like tomorrow, right? So they get on Amazon Prime, they get that next day delivery. They search for ashwagandha gummy. They scroll until they find the product that they saw on TikTok. They click it, they buy it. Now Amazon's like, wow, you're the best term for ashwagandha gummy. Like nobody's even looking at anything else. They're getting to you, they're clicking, it's like 100% conversion rate. They're like,
And
this
it's
needs to be
telling Amazon that when somebody searches ashwagandha, they want exactly this product. That's amazing.
Yep. And that it's just super powerful. And then if you're also taking, that creative that did well on TikTok Shop, you're pinging the creator like, hey, let me get usage rights for this video. I want to test it on Facebook, Instagram. Maybe you're paying them like 100, 150, $200 flat. You're then taking it over to Meta. You're not even editing it at all. Like you're not even chopping it up. You're using the same exact video on Meta. There's like a 20, 25% chance that it does well on Meta. You're increasing your Meta spend by 20, 25%. We've had like a client that's just been able to double spend just from the amount of creatives they're getting from TikTok Shop. Now, like
Wow.
that's running at like a 20% EBITDA or whatever it is. So you can really break even on TikTok Shop, and then knowing that these other channels is like where you're really going to make your money.
Right. Amazing. Wow, dude, you're like a wealth of knowledge for all things TikTok. Like even I can tell by the words you're saying too. You're so deep in it. It's amazing.
Yeah, this like past year and a half, it's like been our main thing, right? Like this is like our bread and butter now.
Yeah. Before we finish up, I have one question for you. What does Vermont do?
Dude, I wish I could tell you, man. As soon as I find out, I'll ping you.
Yeah, come let me know. Zain, thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna definitely have you back, and I'm curious. I'm gonna ask people who listen to this to like pinpoint some of their favorite parts or where they want to go deeper, and we should definitely have you back and go deeper, just because you've got such a deep book of knowledge when it comes to all things social shopping. Where can people find you, get in touch with you, ask you personal questions, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're just looking for shit posting, general memes, I'm pretty active on Twitter, and it's
The
my
best
handle.
memes.
Yeah, not Zen again on Twitter. If you're looking for something that's like TikTok Shop specific, you can go to our website, which is zenith.agency. So ZAINITH.agency.
Amazing. Thank you, bro, for coming on. Appreciate you doing this.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise on CPG, retail, and e-commerce. If you enjoyed this episode, why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss the next one.